Match day 26 in the books. Starting off with a Villa bounce back victory, getting a little bit of rolling going. Comfortably kind of sitting there in fourth, separating from Tottenham and United. Perhaps. Perhaps so. United dropping points this weekend as February wraps up. Doesn't stop Ten Hag from getting mentioned for Manager of the Month. Elsewhere, Arsenal beat down on Newcastle. Ultimate revenge for them. City grind one out against Bournemouth. Cap off the weekend. West Ham bounce back against Brentford in a London derby. Cover all that was for match week 26 and more. This is the Premiership Perusal Podcast.
Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Back, Fuchs, and the ball in behind Damian Bunny! It's 11! It's heaven for Jamie Vardy!
You are an ostrich. Well, your head must be in the sand. Is your head in the sand? Are you flexible enough to get your head in the sand?
Now the fans are shouting every week, Louis van Gaal's army! Louis van Gaal's army!
Feet after a fabulous start, the game just got away from you there.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say about the game at all.
Drama from day one! This is the league we want to watch!
Oh. Yeah.
Back
Yeah, we're back.
once again.
We're back, baby.
Match week 26 in the books, done and dusted. Let's get right into it. First game of the week, like you mentioned, Aston Villa cooking against Nottingham Forest.
Cooking.
You know what?
This is a little Ollie Watkins pop-off sesh to start.
That's right. It didn't take long for the preheat. They said, ding, the oven is done. 4 minutes in, Villa getting a quick start. Bailey gets in space in the box, squares the ball for Ollie Watkins for the tap, and easy as you like. It was pretty much all Villa to start. They were just
They were
dominating.
they were absolutely all over Forest, and part of it, Forest came out pretty flat too, to say the
Yes.
least. It wasn't like they were helping themselves, but no, Villa's shape, especially in midfield in this one, was very nice.
Villa got a second goal 29 minutes in, kind of similar to the first goal, working it in from the right-hand side. This time, Matty Cash finding Jacob Ramsey, who finds Doug Luiz in the box
Doug Lewis, baby.
for the finish.
It's kind of
Nice.
has to be, I don't think. Do you think Villa ever thought that Doug Luiz would get to like this? I guess not necessarily level, because I don't know if he's playing better this year than past years necessarily, but his goal involvement this year and becoming more well-rounded is definitely on display under Emery than it was before. And I think part of that too is just his defensive responsibilities were, I guess, greater before. I mean, now that they're holding the ball so much and whatnot, it's not as prevalent, I guess. Does that make sense?
Well, I think I might say perhaps they did. I mean, they refused to sell him to Arsenal for £25 million when his contract was going to be expiring.
They had full faith.
They did.
As you should.
And now he's worth quite a bit more than $25 million. That is for sure.
What do you think Watkins would be worth on the open market right now?
Oh, I mean, I'd have to say
80? 70?
how old is Watkins? Survey
25?
says 28
4?
years old.
Oh, never mind.
I think that puts him around the
60.
65 million pound range. Take a guess.
Yeah.
But I feel like at this point,
Yeah, he's kind of, and if Villa keep building, this will be his peak, and I'll just stick with him.
yeah, I think his
Just
value
curious,
to
because I
Villa
think we're
is
in a
worth
weird
more than
spot
what
where the
someone would
best
pay.
strikers in the league are all at mid-table clubs. We've been talking about this for a couple weeks now, where it's like people are like, "Oh, is Ivan Toney or is he Chelsea or Arsenal class?" And it's like, well, look who's at Chelsea and look who's at Arsenal. It's like he's
Lord Kai
definitely better
Havertz.
at being a 9 than anyone on those sides. What were you saying?
I said Lord Kai Havertz.
Bro, he's out here saucing on the wing. He's not a 9, bro.
He does it all. But yeah, you're right.
Pink eye.
It is a bit strange,
Because
but
like, who would ever say? Now you'd look crazy if you said Watkins wasn't like that quality. Because Villa's top 4 and he's got one of the top goal assist contributions in all the Premier League. But I mean, remember last year and I said that he'd get 20 and that kind of sounded outrageous, and then he ended up at what, 15? So he just keeps going. Well, back to the game.
back to the game. Doug Lewis grabs a
Look,
second.
power header.
Yeah, nice delivery from John McGinn, just to whipping the ball there for Doug Lewis for his brace. At this point, Forrest thoroughly cooked, but you know what?
Hey,
They
corner
pull one
goal,
back.
baby. Corner
Just
goal.
before
Worked well.
halftime, Niakate pulls one back for Forrest. A small sliver of hope for them going into halftime. Goes to halftime 3-1. And then you know what? They said, let's do it again. 48 minutes in. Origi. Yes, Origi.
The step
Divock
over.
Origi.
The class step over, drag the foot, little thread the ball in behind. That's what we like to see.
Morgan Gibbs White played through
Nice
on
little chip
goal.
too.
Nice chip there to pull it back to 3-2, making things a lot more interesting than they should have been. That is for sure.
Yeah, but have you considered what happens when Forest play with the ball really in their own like third, when they just start passing it sideways and you're just like, what are you doing? What are you
Bad
doing? And then
things.
it's one slow pass or one misplaced pass and Villa pounce.
Absolutely.
I mean, that was the fourth goal, to be quite honest. I mean, it was
Yeah. Ollie Watkins,
just
61 minutes in, getting that insurance to seal the deal for the 2.
yeah, it was actually a nice little spark by Forrest to kind of come back, even though it's kind of
Mhm.
still felt like more one-off plays. It wasn't like it was totally, I won't say totally against the run of play, but like it just didn't feel like if it was a 5-goal game that it was really that close. But Forrest did pull it back to that, give them credit, but then they crap all over themselves, and
Yeah. I mean, I
Villa's
think
able to
most
seal it
teams
up.
would probably have given up after 3-0 down within 39
Not
minutes.
Nuno's, man.
But, they gave it a go. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. All right. Speaking of giving it a go, Brighton, Everton, they gave it a go, and they couldn't decide a winner.
They most certainly did.
You know what? This one was incredibly one-sided for most of the game.
I mean, what did you expect? When we came in, we figured Brighton are just going to hold the ball. They're going to have to break Everton down. Everton's defense, it hasn't been spectacular to say the least, but it hasn't been terrible. It's one of those things where I think for a Sean Dyche team, it hasn't been quite as good as you would think. But then at the same time, Everton, this has to be like all time one of just the weirdest seasons possible. And it's definitely the points deduction thing, but obviously we'll get to that after the game. The massive 4-point draw, if you will, for Everton.
5 points even.
Yeah, they got 5 points. That was crazy. So, but yeah, first half very, very kind of mundane. Not a whole lot going on.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think
both teams left it late.
there was a couple chances, kind of like half chances for Danny Welbeck, but other than that,
Yeah, and Adingra had one too.
mhm.
Yeah, and it was really just Everton like at the last possible second, like throwing it down. I think Dunk even
Yeah.
had one, didn't he? Or two, maybe? He had like some headers. They're
I
just
mean,
like right at Pickford though.
had to. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
everyone was in on the party.
yeah. Second half, all the action.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Um, Going into halftime 0-0. Second half, some chances for both sides. Ducore had one cleared off the line by Lamptey. That was probably the best chance of the game to that point.
For either side.
Yeah, for either side, despite Everton really not having a whole lot going for them. But yeah, they did end up taking the lead first. 73 minutes in, Branthwaite scores from a long set piece with a quality finish.
Yeah, that was nice. A little blasted upper 90.
Yeah, that was absolutely class.
Nothing like a center back just having a swing at it and just has a perfect little rip.
Just have a
Then
go.
then Bill Gilmore, Sam.
What's this guy doing?
William. Out here getting reds. A little high on the ankle there.
The old leg breaker.
When you're getting a red against Sonata, that's pretty tough. That guy's the ultimate like on the brink of getting a red card kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's drawing a red from you. That's tough.
Yeah, that was a real rough challenge. Ansu Fati had a chance late on, 87 minutes in, as Brighton searched for the equalizer. And then finally, 90 plus 5, Pascal
Bigelow.
Gross puts in a ball for Mr. Lewis Dunk on the corner, and he scores with the second ball. Everton, they worked so hard just to let it all go at the end.
Yeah, in the 95th of 99th minute, that was pretty tough to say the least. Yeah, I thought, for Brighton's sake, it was one of those games where everyone really had a chance was playing well, except for Ferguson. Ferguson kind of stood out as someone who wasn't really in, and he's kind of getting back into form, getting playing time. He was out for so long and stuff, but that kind of stood out to me. And then for Everton, I mean, anyone that is typically attack-minded for them really just wasn't able to get much going in this one because of the defensive effort. But like you said, to leave it that late and then concede, brutal.
Absolutely. But
I don't recall, but I'm sure your guy De Zerbi was running around like a madman screaming.
Oh, yeah.
Celebrating a home draw against Everton.
Absolutely. But you know what? Everton walk away from this game 5 points richer. Like you mentioned, the points deduction being reduced to 6 points instead of 10.
They're now ahead of Brentford on goal difference. How about that?
Yeah, how about
3
it?
points off Bournemouth. 3 points off Palace. Can you believe Palace is 13th?
Yeah, it just, man.
From honestly 12 down, it's just a hodgepodge of kind of poop. At least last year, the number was like, I guess it might have been 12 last year too.
Yeah, it feels weird to consider that Bournemouth
But
is
it just
worse off than Palace, although they have a game in hand, but they're level in points. But Bournemouth is they've been slumping.
yeah.
Brentford, they've been pretty bad as well.
Brentford's gonna rate the ship this weekend. I know that.
So, yeah, it's getting interesting down there. That's for sure.
Most certainly. Speaking of down there, Sam, we got
Speaking
Palace and Burnley.
Of the land down under, this game.
This game, talk about leaving it late. It wasn't quite as late as Everton, Brighton, but I tell you what, Palace, Burnley. This game, there's a whole lot of nothing just for something to pop up.
Yeah.
In the late second half. I genuinely don't remember what happened in the first half.
If there was ever a game that did not reflect a 3-0 scoreline, it was definitely this. I mean, this game was absolutely brutal. Both teams looked horrendous, to say the least. Burnley really could could get nothing going. Palace had possession, but did not look threatening whatsoever. First chance of the game came in the 28th minute after Wharton put in a ball for Edouard, who had a close range effort saved.
I don't know why I expected Wharton to be a little more attack-minded than he is, but this is
I
also
did too.
Crystal Palace. So I think he might just be like more of an 8. And not even an 8/10, just like a straight up 8. But we'll see. You got to give him time, adjust the league a little bit and whatnot. And the thing is, with this team, that somehow Roy Hodgson leaves, yet they're still relying on Mr. Ayew, and that upsets me.
That upsets me too. You know what? They had so many corners in the first half. It was disgusting, and they did absolutely nothing with them. Very hard to
Well, they're
watch.
the only team that hasn't scored from a corner this year.
Well, I can see why. They didn't look close to scoring. Big moment in the 35th minute. Burnley shoot themselves in the
Big
foot.
Josh Brownhill.
Trying to play out of the back. Terrible pass from Mr. Trafford. Forces Josh Brownhill into a last-ditch pullback on Jeffrey Lerma, who's clear on goal. And that is a straight red card.
He was like smiling about it coming off the field. What was that?
He's just happy he didn't have to be a part of that game anymore. And I can't blame him.
Yeah, I suppose.
After that, Crystal Palace, Edouard had a free kick go over the bar, but they really didn't do much, considering that they had the main advantage for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I would say that Burnley really had anything truly cooking, but it's not like, Palace did anything either. It's very much like get the ball kind of around the box and then take a shot and it goes wide, or a lot of passing that just resulted in nothing for the most part.
Indeed.
And Burnley, this is kind of what Burnley wanted because they obviously like to hit on the counter and stuff, but I don't know. It was kind of odd.
But there was nothing there. So
the only thing that was more odd was when I looked up and saw Mateta's sponsor was ripped off his jersey at one point in the game, and he came back out in the second half and had the sponsor on. I was like, wow, the fresh. Who's the kit man? I need to see the Palace kit man. Give that guy props.
Yeah. Goes in halftime 0-0. Second half, potential second yellow card for Mr. Wharton.
Yeah,
he definitely could have been shown a second yellow. Got away with it.
It's because it's a game that no one really cared about.
That's true. They're like, we've seen this game 11v11.
Get this game rolling. We don't need to make it 10v10.
And eventually it did get rolling. 68 minutes in, Palace finally find the breakthrough. And they score. Chris Richards with a header at the back post. Some terrible defending from Asenyon.
I thought he looked good when he kind of half turned around and saw Chris Richards was like wide open.
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, that's my guy."
Like,
oh, wait, should I find the ball? Oh, it's already passed me on his head and in.
He pretty much ducked out of the way for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
See, I'm no professional defender, but I'm pretty sure that's not how you're supposed to.
That's what I say all the time. I'm like, I'm not a doctor, but that's no defense right there by Mr. 20 who let that go.
I'm not a doctor, but you should get that looked at.
Yeah. And then Palace really started to turn it on. Actually kind of playing fast because they let Burnley kind of hold possession for a bit.
Yes.
And your boy Franca gets the assist on the counterattack. Unfortunately, it's to your other boy, Jordan Ayew.
Jordan Ayew, he's inevitable. Run from it, hide from it. There's nothing you can do.
I would like to say that there's probably like half the Premier League somehow wouldn't have been able to wait and would have went offsides on that play. So that's the only props I'll give him on that. That's all I'll say.
Well, I'm going to go on the record and say I'm giving him no props.
It was a literal tap in with no defender on him. So.
And speaking of França, he wins a penalty after a foul from Vitinho, who just shortly came on. If that doesn't show the class of Burnley. I don't know.
Like I get that he was on a one-on-one, but also like he literally stuck his foot out and then like full arm shoved him. I don't know what he was trying to do. He
Was-
not only he committed, he like got his money's worth by fouling him in two separate manners. It
That's
was like,
true.
okay, if he doesn't call the leg, he's gonna call me for pushing him over with my arms.
Yes. Coutinho's value tackles.
Something like
Anyways, Mateta steps up, makes it 3-0 from the spot. Burnley had a late consolation goal disallowed.
I almost crapped my pants and forgot. I thought you were gonna say they had a goal, and I was like, I don't remember them scoring.
You know, it was weird because I thought it should have stood, but they said that Asenyan was impacting the keeper
Oh,
while in an offside position. But it
that's
was
right.
like,
Well,
uh,
if you're Manchester City, maybe you get that call.
exactly.
They just want to
Henderson,
rob my boy Fafana.
exactly. And keep my clean sheet for Joachim Anderson. Uh, yeah. Dean Henderson never saving that, but
No,
they disallowed it because, you know,
it's so funny. Like what certain teams get away with. I wouldn't say the Premier League is rigged, but there's bias to say the least. Because how is that called? How is that called?
a cocktail of bias and incompetency. And you
Yeah,
get
and then
some
it's like,
head
oh, how did that
scratchers.
happen? It's like, oh, really? I think I know how it happened.
You know what? Crystal Palace walk away with a big 3-0 victory. Wasn't the most pretty game, but you know what? At this point, you take it. Oli Glassner
Yeah,
gets his first win as a Crystal Palace manager.
it'd be interesting to see if their recruitment is a little different. I highly doubt it because it hasn't really changed over a 10-year period. Um, but I don't know. Maybe a different manager. They are willing, not necessarily to spend more, but in different ways than they were previously. Like I said, I have my doubts.
Yeah, I was hoping to see a little bit more inspiration out of Crystal Palace. You know, probably a little too early for his impact to be felt yet, but I didn't see it in this game, so maybe next game.
Yeah,
As for Burnley, they suck.
send
But
them to Mars for
we
all I
already
care.
knew
Get 'em
that.
out of here. Yeah, I mean,
Everyone knew it.
isn't it this more depressing than like I've seen Burnley people talk about it and they're like, well, we thought it'd take us 3 years in the championship, so that's why we got to stick with. It's like, if you did, why the hell did you spend 100 mil in the summer window? Because that's how much they spend on these guys, Sam. Around 100 mil.
And what do you have to show for that? I mean, these guys.
I'm sure that there's a chance that they next year will like do well in the playoffs, or at least in maybe they'll get just straight up promoted again. But I mean, there's nothing as far as like what you saw that is like, oh yeah, these guys are Premier League quality. But again, they all are like 21 years old. They're all young dudes, but I agree with you. It's tough to see. A couple of the Premier League established guys that they tried to go with just were not. They were not it, to say the least.
No, definitely not. All right, moving on to the next match. Once again, a game where it was left late. Manchester United versus Fulham,
How do I leave this game upset that United lost?
live from Old Trafford. Because you know that United's doing their February title charge.
Yeah, and we said they'd win,
We said
and
they'd
they
win.
lost at home against
You
Fulham.
bastards.
Fulham on the road against Man U in February. The odds were probably like plus 2,000.
How could it be? How could
I
it
mean,
be?
and they didn't even have Paulinho. They
That's
didn't
true.
have Paulinho.
Maybe that's the trick to the road victory.
That's why they tried to sell him to Bayern. They're like, yes, take this guy.
Take this guy.
Yes,
We're better
good deal.
without him. But we're forced into playing with him.
Don't
Secretly,
have a
Sasha
choice.
Lukic is the guy.
Who? Before we move on, just real quick, I just want your instant reaction. Who's buying Anthony Robinson this summer for like 40 mil?
That's a good question. Good question. Newcastle?
Hmm.
Seems like a
Okay.
Newcastle kind of signing. I know he's
That's
been linked to
not.
Liverpool, but it's like, okay,
That
Liverpool's
doesn't make
not
any
going to
sense.
sign him. Like, come on.
That doesn't. They don't need that. That
They'd
doesn't
rather
make
play a
sense.
youth guy than buy Anthony Robinson.
Well, not even like the money thing. Like Robertson and Alexander Arnold are their relatively younger stars. Like Salah and Van Dijk are
I mean,
aging.
Robertson's like almost 30.
I know, but he still has a few more years left. I don't know how many. Van Dijk might have like 1 year, 2 years max
Yeah.
left. Salah's out after probably this year. No, that just doesn't make sense. I don't know. If you know what it feels like is if Abramovich owned Chelsea, that would be a very Chelsea signing for like 40 mil, and then they plays like 3 times. They pretty much go like Emerson mode. They just like won't play him.
Then he'd get sold to West Ham and absolutely cook.
Yeah. If I had to say just real quick,
Yes.
I think I could see him at Tottenham.
Yeah, I could see that too.
He'd have to be like their big money signing for the summer, but that'd be fine. Let's get to the game.
That's a weird thing to say. Anthony Robinson is the big money signing.
Well,
I
mean,
never thought I'd hear that
I
before.
didn't either because he just seemed like a pace merchant, but is what it is. Um, Fulham started off pretty decent in terms of having a counterattack chance or two, but Man
Yeah.
U's midfield in this game was so ass. I don't know how to tell you. Like when I watched it live, I was like, "How is this the case?" Alex Iwobi should have had a hat trick this game, Sam.
Oh, he should have. He should have.
He displayed why Arsenal took 40 mil from Everton and ran. Is what he did. Is that
Yeah,
that gave you flashbacks?
you could definitely see. I mean, like you said, the midfield for United was rough. Mr. Forson.
Yeah, number 62. How about that?
Not the best of performances. I think it has to be said. But
Well, United really weren't as attacking as you figured they might be in this one, but I thought
yeah,
it's hard to find people on Fulham who had like just bad games in general. I thought like Pereira did pretty well. It wasn't more so he wasn't in his like attacking kind of position and stuff, but he was doing a good job like kind of connecting players and stuff. So
yeah,
I
it
mean,
was
'cause,
interesting
United.
to see Fulham. I mean, they came out. They looked pretty confident in their play. They
I
looked
mean, United
the more competent.
for sure. I mean, United didn't have a chance to like the 26th minute.
Yeah,
And even then, it was like on a set piece, and the ball was like bouncing around. Somehow it was cleared off the line, but I think it was Garnacho. I don't remember. I'm 90% sure. No, it had to be, because Anthony doesn't start ever. But he did get in this game at the very end, which is great.
absolutely. Yeah, there was a couple chances for Fulham, like you mentioned. Iwobi, he had a shot dragged wide, and then Muniz forcing Onana into his save. Lukic nearly getting on. Dalot.
That was weird because it looked like it was supposed to be a pass, but somehow it got flicked like on target.
Yes. Dalot nearly scored a wonder goal from outside the box.
I
Hit
said
the
earlier
outside
this year he
post.
might be like their third best attacking player, and I will stand by that. I am wrong, but I will still stand by it.
He's probably better than most of their wingers. That's for
Yeah, he's just in the top 50, but I exaggerate it by saying he's a top 3.
Muniz had a chance after he big brothered Lindelof. That was pretty funny. Hit the post.
That was great.
Lindelof
That was.
looked absolutely awful.
I don't. Him and I don't know. Martial's the ultimate version of this, but it's like, how is he at the club? I don't really understand. But Lindelof is like that for me. It's like, how is he still here? How is he not in the Bundesliga on some like random team or in like
I think
Italy?
he does all right. I think this game, being forced into fullback, not his natural
No,
position. A little
he's
bit
not. He doesn't have the pace.
tough going one-on-one with guys there. But yeah, I mean, he shouldn't be
He's
like a
fine for
starting.
third center back, but
Yeah,
that's never the thing.
yeah.
He was out there with Airy.
Couple chances before halftime. Pereira curling one to the far post. Onana making the save on that. And then at the other end, Brian Leno making a nice save on Garnacho's shot. Goes into halftime 0-0. Second half, Fulham once again started off the half pretty good.
Did you think that Maguire's yellow could have been a red? I wouldn't say it was a red, but did the thought cross your mind for 2 seconds?
I had seen the people complaining about it beforehand, and I was like,
I wouldn't say that it was, but it for like 0.2 seconds you think about it and you're like, no.
I
It's
think it just
definitely a yellow.
looked
It's an
bad.
orange, but it's yellowish. I mean, he gets him right on the top of the foot.
Yeah, I think it looks bad, but like you said, it's kind of just on the borderline there. And
I don't want to be the guy who's like, that was called a red earlier this year, like 3 times, because it was. But at the same time, it's like, just because one bad ref makes a call doesn't mean that was.
yeah,
That's where the bar is set now.
right. I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if he got a red, but I think a yellow was probably the correct decision.
Same. We're in the same boat, per usual.
Yes, absolutely. You know what? You know who's in the boat? Fulham are in the boat with a goal. 65 minutes in, they get the reward. Calvin Bassey, the pride of Nigeria, fires home from a corner to take the lead. Fulham, much deserved 1-0 lead.
When you're talking about Lindelof not playing that well, when he decided to throw that into Dallo, who was in the middle of the frickin' field, and there was one guy on the far side, and it was Varane, and then it was a 3-on-1 with Eriksson running back. I mean, you'd have to put your mortgage on the fact that it was going to be a goal, right?
Absolutely.
But that was the first sequence, but Fulham couldn't score from that, and then you're right, Calvin Bassey off the corner, Sam, and then Ten Hag sitting there, and he's like, "Why did I not buy?" Was Bassey an Ajax guy, right?
Absolutely.
He's
Bought the
like, "Why
wrong
did
guy."
I not buy this Ajax guy? And he smashes it top bins, just
Ugh.
roofs it. How about that? Well, it's great because it went off Castagna, and it looked like it was going to get blocked. Or I guess it was blocked, but I think
Deflected to him.
yeah, but it looked like if that original shot goes in, I think Onana just catches it. But
Yeah.
because it rebounds out, he can just get more power behind it and rip it. So Fulham, yeah, 1-0 up.
Yeah. After that, United were pushing for an equalizer. Good chance for Harry Maguire. 80 minutes in, free header from 5 yards out from a corner, but he puts it high and wide. Come on, slab
I
it.
thought you were going to talk about Harry Wilson had that counterattack chance too. That's what I thought you were going to talk about. But yeah, Slabby.
All the Harrys.
He looks weird when his hair's down. But that should have been a goal by Maguire. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, you're virtually unmarked. That's got to be in the net. He got so much power on it too. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And you know what? He made right by it. He scores the equalizer 89 minutes in after Bruno Fernandez's ball in was saved and fell out to Harry Maguire. Puts the finishing touches on it to draw level. The late equalizer perhaps rescuing a point. But
You would think.
it was not
But
to
not
be.
for this bald fraud who's
Not to be.
up for manager of the month.
And who would have thought that Fulham's savior would be Adama Traore?
Oh, what do you mean, dude?
The Cookanine. He saved up all his energy for this one moment to run pretty much the entire length of the field.
Yeah.
And then to say,
Well, half the field, but yes.
I have changed. I am a changed man.
And he passed.
I am going to pass.
He passed.
Holy smokes, that
And then
the
Iwobi finally
stars
scores.
aligned. And Iwobi
Yeah.
scores. Adama Traore passing. Iwobi scoring. What in the world is going on at Old Trafford? Fulham in Dreamland.
Yeah, they are.
Massive.
Theater of dreams, theater of memes, theater of Alex Iwobi.
The theater of Alex Iwobi.
That was
Fulham.
that was I was just gonna say that was a dirty dangle by Traore, I think, to start it off. I think it might have been Maguire.
It was a beautiful run.
The whole thing
Start to
was silky
finish.
smooth.
It was just so funny that we were smack talking him this episode.
Well, yeah, he hasn't played like all year, and I mean, part of that was probably injury to start the year, but then he just like never got in the team, and I honestly don't know why.
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah. All 3 points for Fulham, huge victory. United in the dirt, in the mud. Title charge.
The February title charge is over.
I think it's over. I think you can call it there, Sam. I think you just call it there.
I think so.
Speaking of title charge, Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, yes, making their way up from 15th or whatever they are.
If I could have bet that this game was going to be a 1-goal game and City was going to win, I would have been a rich man because I would put a lot of money on it. Because Bournemouth, for whatever, are a bogey team, but they don't like lose to them. It reminds me of Arsenal when they played Burnley and it was the Sean Dyche's Burnley.
I always
And
find
Arsenal
a
would
way.
always win, but it would be like, yeah, it was like the weirdest kind of thing.
Get a random penalty in the 85th minute or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and this one, Holland's been struggling lately, and he had some chances, Sam.
Yeah.
Especially early.
Definitely. Yeah, right off the bat, 9 minutes in, he had one. Ball to him, putting it wide. For some reason this year, it's so weird. Obviously, he's still like the top scorer, but he has looked so much worse than he did last season. But still somehow is one of the best players.
I still can't believe that Man City have been able to keep him as healthy as they have. It's honestly impressive.
Yeah.
That's probably the best thing you could say about Pep, which, by the way, Pep with his fake humility, I'm not falling for it. Did you see what he said this week?
That Chelsea are a fantastic club. I don't.
No, he said that like if Bielsa was at a big club, he would win a bunch of trophies. And you talk about him, he said, if you gave me Leeds in the championship, I couldn't get him promoted. And it's true, but I don't like this fake humility by Pep. I don't believe it, not for 1 second.
Never buy into it. It's a trap.
Yeah, this was kind of a bigger one of the Foden games for City. Obviously, he scores the goal, but he had a decent chance before that too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of been coming up a bit more. Kevin De Bruyne hasn't been able to play all the games since returning. They kind of have to be cautious of how much he plays. So.
Yeah, because they need to save him for the Champions League, to say the least.
Yeah.
In this late title charge.
But yeah, Phil Foden scoring that first goal 24 minutes in, getting the rebound off of Haaland's initial shot, taking 1-0. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say we forgot about Bournemouth had one chance. Kerkez had a rip. I had that in my notes, but
from outside the box, indeed.
Yeah, that was a blast. It's honestly amazing that Haaland's like not really ever offside. There's mainly like runs he makes in behind.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like he's never off, but yeah, Foden. I think Bernardo Silva had a chance at some point in the first half, but I think it was blocked or something. But it was like a decent chance. Probably would have been a goal if it wasn't blocked. So Bournemouth really didn't really get the attack go until the second half, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, for sure. Goes into halftime 1-0. Second half, like you said, Bournemouth a little more up for the challenge. Trying to make things interesting. I think it was there. It was there for him to.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that one chance about 10 minutes in where it was swung through and it somehow went through like 4 people and then it went to the back post. Who was it, like Semenyo who crossed it in? If who did that fall to?
Was it Solanke where it nearly crossed the line? Ederson was like standing inside the net when he saved it.
No. I'm trying. This one was like 10 minutes in. I cannot remember who it is. Bournemouth rotate their squad too much for me to remember.
Tavernier.
I think it
Kluivert.
was Tavernier. Now that you say it,
Yeah.
I think it was. No, I was not talking about the Dom Solanke one yet. But no, this game was definitely there for Bournemouth to at least get a draw. But yeah, credit to City's defense in this one. Normally the way to beat City is kind of spread them out and counterattack, but Bournemouth did a very nice job in terms of just from possession, kind of building out and breaking City down.
Mm-hmm. Couple chances for City to double their lead, but they weren't able to capitalize on them. First one, Kovacic had a deflected shot, go just wide, and then Neto making a save on Holland. And Bournemouth they brought it down to the wire. Late chance where Ines Unal got subbed on, had a header go narrowly wide against his former club. Would have been a big one.
Would have been. I mean, I guess if you want to say Man City deserved this, it's probably because that save by Neto was virtually the equivalent of a goal, the one that he made on Holland. I mean, Holland was like 6 yards out, and it wasn't the best of finishes, but it was a damn good save for reaching down there. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it felt like Bournemouth were never gonna score somehow. It felt like there was an impenetrable force around the net, which was
Yeah,
quite unfortunate.
I agree. I did have that feeling too. It's like
These are all good chances.
despite their chances, it just does not feel like it's going to be the City drop
Yeah.
points.
Yep. So honestly, huge win for City there. It's one of the ones you never really think about and look back on, but it's wins like that where that's what wins you titles.
Yeah, you got to grind it out against the small teams.
Well, you can call Bournemouth a small team if you want, but I will
A small
not.
cherry.
Did you see their new rumored badge?
Yeah, they said it's not happening.
Okay, good. I never looked into it. I just saw that and I was like, I feel like it's something where it might have just been floated out just to see. Like it was actually Bournemouth's, and they're like, we're gonna float this out just to see because it's totally different. Everyone's like, what the hell is that? They're like, yeah, no, we actually weren't gonna go for it.
Apparently, it was for like merchandising stuff. That's what they said.
Sure.
Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger.
I know. It's
Head
what it
hit
is.
ball.
And
Head
it's
hit
the
ball.
smart thing to do because otherwise you end up like Leeds and you put that thing out there and people are like, what the hell is that? What were you thinking?
Holy smokes.
That's your
was funny.
badge? That will forever be the all-time, I think, like worst logo ever. Just ever.
Yeah, it's up there.
Amazing stuff. Well, Sam, one of these teams is in the title race.
Yeah,
and one is not.
It's definitely not Arsenal. That is for
It's
sure.
Arsenal, baby. They are so hot right now.
They're so hot.
I told you, Sam.
Each game
I
they
told ya.
decline in power. First they score
They're-
6, then they score 5, then they score 4 and concede a
Yeah.
goal. It's all going
fucking
downhill.
Only 15 goals.
Arsenal
in 3
sucks.
games. You fucking babies.
They
Big
suck.
babies. Yeah. Well, I tell you what,
Uh,
this probably felt good for you because I know how much you hate Newcastle and to beat up on them.
Oh, it was fantastic.
It's also hilarious looking back. If I would have told you, like, not even a decade ago, 5 years ago, that Newcastle had a $1 billion takeover and that they became kind of like not rivals for you, but a team where they're on your schedule and you're like, we got to beat these guys. I don't even care what happens.
Yes.
You're like, I'd rather lose to United than have to lose to Newcastle. Is that true or no?
Uh, I
If you
don't
had
know.
to lose to one top,
I've
if you had to
talked a
lose to
lot
one
of
top
shit
six
about,
team, if
about
you had to lose to
United.
one top six team to make sure it meant you beat Newcastle, who would it be? Chelsea, Charity FC.
Top
Give me a
16.
dub. Give me a dub.
16. You take your yearly loss of Man City, cash that in.
Gross. That's disturbing. My team could never. We only draw Man City.
That's because your team's not in the top 6.
Yes, we are, baby. We're forever
You
top
didn't say
six.
big 6. You said top 6.
Yeah, top six. Yep,
So
we're top six.
if you said top half, I could understand Chelsea.
Well, when you win as many Premier League titles as you do and Champions League, you're just penciled in as a great team, no matter what. Even when
Sponsored by
you
Todd
have
Bowley.
Pochettino and, well, yeah, I'm on the Bowley
He's
Bucks
on the
payroll.
payroll.
I am. I wish I was.
He's
I wouldn't have to work.
propagandizing this podcast.
I would put all the money into marketing, so then we'd become one of those things that grows overnight for no reason. People are like, "Where's this from? This doesn't even seem real." It's just because like a bunch of AI kind of boosted our podcast, bunch of fake views and stuff. Nonetheless, back to the game.
Todd Bowley's view botting for us.
Yeah, dude, I think he could. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, just know if we ever pop off, it's because Todd Bowley paid for it.
There's no doubt in my mind.
But
No doubt
anyways,
in my
I
mind.
digress. Getting back
I'm
in the
surprised
game.
Arsenal won with your boy Paul Tierney ref in the game.
I know, and the fact that he didn't even like play an impact on it.
Well,
happening.
to be fair, Arsenal smashed Newcastle. I thought he could have if Odegaard got that early yellow. You never know.
He did. He
Something
did
could
get
have
an
happened.
early yellow. Yeah, that made me a little nervous.
Uh,
But you know what? Newcastle was just never really in this one.
they just really sometimes don't show up at all this year.
Yeah.
And it's not even like it's a big game thing, but like they did this against Bournemouth at Selhurst. For some reason they're playing at Crystal Palace. The Vitality.
That's why they
Like,
didn't
just
show up.
didn't-
Wrong
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. But literally, it's like they just don't have it like at all. And for whatever reason, injuries get blamed and stuff. And it's like you're playing a lot. You're playing like 80% of your first choice guys still.
Yeah, I'm so sick of the Newcastle injuries.
Every team has Brentford has a ton of injuries this year. Chelsea has a ton of injuries. Liverpool has a ton of injuries. That's how the season goes, man.
Yeah, and maybe you need to do some self-reflection on the players that you have.
Loris Karius says third string, bruh. You gotta update. You gotta upgrade. Gotta
Your
upgrade your third string.
your training methods, your tactics, your squad rotation. You know, it's not just bad luck. You know, sure there's an element of bad luck, but there's also other contributing factors that could have been impacted.
Yeah, well, they do get a goal off a corner. And it was honestly pretty crap.
It was
Pretty
crap.
crap own goal.
Pretty crap. Sven Botman saying, "Let me yeet this in from a
He
yard
said,
out.
Karius, handle this back pass real quick right at your hands.
Catch these hands." Yeah, it was a
yeah.
bad way to start the game. Kind of ominous for a Newcastle perspective.
Yes. And then Arsenal let Lord George cook. Drops a dime to Martinelli, who puts it on a platter for the German Jordan Ayew, I call him. Kai Havertz. He's just scoring goals left and right like he's Jordan Ayew out here.
It's like
pressing
DHL,
forward.
he delivers.
Happens. But what a ball by Jorginho. Great run too by Martinelli, because that was quite the run. To be honest, to like have the faith that Jorginho is going to put the ball where he did.
Yeah, I always put the faith in Jorginho. The Jorginho
It
masterclass.
really spread Newcastle out. Fabian Schär was like he was like a midfield practically. I don't know where the hell he was going. So I mean, by that time you kind of knew Arsenal would win, but up 2-0. You know, how are you feeling? Probably not good because you're a pessimist.
You know, I was feeling good, but still a little nervous. You know, I was hoping for a third goal before halftime. There were chances, definitely chances to score a third before half. Not able to capitalize on those chances. So going into halftime, you know, I was a little nervous if you give up an early
Because what
goal
was that?
in the second half.
Who? I'm trying to remember because I remember Saka got to the end line and then crossed it, and then whoever it was just completely crapped their pants. It wasn't Havertz because I would have remembered that.
He had a chance right after
Martinelli?
halftime. Havertz.
Okay. I do remember that one.
Yeah.
I do remember that one. He was in behind. He was in behind and he fluffed it.
Yeah, I was a little worried, like, oh boy, here we go.
That's
You know.
normally the one that he scores. And he wouldn't be there for the tap in, is typically how it went at Chelsea.
Hmm.
He'd score the breakaways and the one-on-ones, but not anything else. But he's honestly what I was impressed with him is he stayed on side. Remember Chelsea how offside he was like all the time?
Him and Timo Werner, they
Well,
could never stay on side.
Timo Werner is Tottenham's best player in my opinion.
I agree. Newcastle had a chance. Gordon getting in behind. But you know what? David Raya did well to snuff that one out.
He shushes the Ramsdale rumors. He says no more. This is no more. Ramsdale going to be on his way out. You know, it's not Bukayo Saka. Little cut back, little slot it, far post.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
like to see that.
Very nice to add that third goal there. And then shortly after, Lord Kivior from the corner. You love to see it, the Polish lad.
The lad who won me a league over Sam.
Oh, he's absolutely, he's a killer, as they say
You know
in the
what?
business.
I thought they could have called that an own goal because partially it, well, first off, it deflected off a Newcastle defender, but that was at least towards net. It literally hit Karius in his hands and then went in.
Well, you know what? The people who decide goals, they're like, Kivior is truly goated. We must give him
Well, yeah.
the goal. And they're
What do you
not
think
wrong.
of Joe Willock revenge game though?
You know, it's great. Even when Arsenal concedes, Arsenal scores.
Just spreading the wealth around the Premier League.
Yeah, that's how kind
It's
we are. We're
honestly a
like,
really nice header.
Well-
like looping back post header.
it was nicely done. I mean, you can't argue. If you're gonna concede a goal, do it to the former player.
Unless it's David Luiz in the Champions League and then he
Oh.
celebrates in front of all your fans and then it makes you sad. Finishes 4-1. Arsenal, they're in the title race. I don't care what Sam says.
That was way easier than it should have been. That's for sure.
You caught Newcastle at the right time. They just gave up.
Yeah.
Speaking of giving up, Sheffield United. They gave up. They gave up to Wolves.
Yeah, you know what? They're not a good team. But
They're not a good team. I didn't even think Wolves played all that well in this game, to say the least.
no, I think what happened, you know, we've seen it before. Wolves just played down to the level of their opponent.
Yeah,
And I
like
think that's what
Neto,
happened in this game.
Neto, and what's his name? Wang Hee-chan just not really cooking this game. Midfield was relatively dominant, honestly, but that's because Sheffield midfield sucks. I think Sheffield's the only team to pack the midfield with 5 guys, and it's like still penetrable, which is kind of crazy. Because you have 5 guys, it's bound to be like, well, they just have so many guys, they're bound to win the ball more than the other team. But that like just didn't really happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Best chances of the first half coming to Ryan Brewster. He had a weird one 19 minutes in. 2 attempts at a volley. Both he caught quite crisply. But first one was blocked, second one saved. Then later on, threw on goal on the counter, but blasted it high. Just a story of Sheffield United's season so far.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. I mean, what do you want from them? They're just not
good.
They're not mechanically gifted at the game. They're not students of the game, even, if I say so myself. I guess the best thing from Wolves in their attack in the first half is it was a lot of kind of counterattacks when they did win the ball and they're going forward, but it was like at best kind of half chances inside the first 20 or so, you know. But like you said, that Brewster play, big block by Wolves on that, but it was
Yeah, I'm
it was a
not
good
sure.
chance. And then they had one. They had one at like the 3rd minute or something like that. I want to say where Brewster was in, and then he got chased down by Tati.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm not sure why I wrote the second one when he was through on the counter. Because that was after Wolves scored from the goal. Great ball in from Ait Nouri, headed home by Sarabia. No one
Yeah.
ever expects a Sarabia header, but they get it
Yeah.
dropped on their head.
Yes.
I think, too, this goal goes to show Ait Nouri, he's been an instrumental part of this team. After, just a season ago, he was out of the team for the most part.
It was one of those things where he played really well in 21 and 22. And you're like, all right, nice. I like this guy. And then towards the end of the Lage era, and especially in the Lopetegui era, it just really wasn't going for him. And he wasn't getting the playing time. Part of that is injuries falling out of favor. And then if you're just not matching the coach's style, it happens. But lately, he's really, really been cooking. Even to start the year, Gaz wasn't using him like a ton. In terms of actually being like influential in the play and whatnot. But now that he's back, he's definitely a solid component to this team. Rest of the first half was really just, I don't know, some half chances and stuff for Wolves.
And Sheffield United going at each other, Vinny Souza and Jack Robinson.
Yeah, that was great. What was that was like 40th minute or something, right?
Yeah, that was pretty entertaining. Sums up Sheffield United.
The little slapping. Yeah, and Wolves are probably like, what is going on?
Oh my god.
Like, I think Sarabia even walked in and was like, what did you guys gotta stop this? Chris Wilder, where are you?
Where's the discipline?
Nowhere.
There. Goes in halftime, 1-0. Second half, not a
I
whole
will
lot
say,
going on.
I was just glad I didn't have to look at West Fotheringham. That's all I can say. That's all Sheffield can do to make me even like give them a 1 out of 10 on the happiness scale. Is just be like, don't play West Fotheringham, please. Don't do it to me.
Yes.
Don't do it. But yeah, I mean, Sheffield did have the one chance. Brewster again, back post, little counterattack action. It's actually some nice play, and it wasn't even really, they didn't have numbers. It was Wolves had 4 defenders back, and Sheffield still had a good chance. But second half for Wolves, it was still a lot of Sarabia as far as chances and stuff. He had a big blast.
My favorite point in the second half was when Sheffield got a free kick on the edge of the box, and then Gus Hamer just hit it to absolutely no one.
That was pretty awesome, it must be said. It did kind of feel like Sheffield might get a goal at like the very, very end just because it was like the most shit chance and it like was bouncing around and somebody
Yeah,
had to look at the back post and yeah, it was not great.
yeah, Semedo on the long throw and with the swing and a miss. Got a
Yeah.
little spicy at the end. Wolves
Yeah,
hang on. Get the 1-0. That's all you need.
Yeah, Sheffield really should have embraced like the bad boy mentality and kind of been like a like Norwich when they had what's his name? Alex Neil as manager.
Alex O'Neill. Was it
I think it was just Alex
Alex
Neil.
Neil?
And
I
they're
hated
putting in
that
two
guy.
footers. They're just putting in two footers. Or
Hated that
Stoke.
guy.
Stoke just putting in tough challenges the whole time. The beginning of Brexit ball. Before Brexit ball was even a thing. I was really upset that that was the only Sunday game because it made me watch Chelsea Liverpool. But I think the first and only Carabao Cup game I've ever watched in my life, which is saying a lot.
Mighty unfortunate for you, lad.
I mean, they didn't deserve it. I don't know what to tell you. And by didn't deserve it, I mean they didn't deserve it at all. Um, the only thing I'll say about that, real quick, I think I'm just out listening to any pundit on Chelsea because I think Chelsea are so boring to the point to where people don't watch them anymore. I really don't. I think people don't watch them
I
because
mean,
as much criticism as people give them for like certain things, and they blame Poch, they blame tactics, they blame players and stuff like that. It's like Gallagher has a one-on-one chance in the 87th minute and then just like tips over and like shoots it right at Keller. And like Enzo Fernandez was in the 6-yard box and tried to backheel the ball into the net rather than pass to unmarked Cole Palmer. Like these are just like easy goals that they don't take. They have like 4 chances a game like that. And somehow no one ever talks about that. They just bypass it like it didn't happen. Like if Arsenal ever did that, people would be like, "What the hell is wrong?" Like if someone could easily square it to Eddie Nketiah for a tap in, instead they just like take some crazy shot and it sucks, you'd be like, "Oh my god." But this is what happens when you have players like Raheem Sterling out here.
indeed.
I'm just glad that they got outplayed at their own pitch by Leeds midweek. That's very nice.
A wild ride for Chelsea.
Bowley's men.
Yes, sir.
Last game of the week. And I tell you what, Sam,
There's a doozy.
it was a doozy.
Unexpected doozy.
Oh, also, real quick, Liverpool making like a big deal about winning the League Cup.
It's the best trophy ever.
Have
Klopp.
some shame.
His best.
It was
best
probably the
achievement.
best point I've ever seen by a Man City fan when they're like, no one cared when we won it 4 times in a row, but now that Klopp's leaving and he won it, it's an important trophy. I was like, you know what? That is very true. Because I didn't even know City won it 4 times in a row, I'll be quite frank. Anyways, moving on to some real proper football. And by proper football, I mean a proper beatdown, Sam. Brentford West Ham. And this game was never close.
No, definitely not. I mean, West Ham getting out of the gates very quickly.
Well, first off, we should say this. You called for Calvin Phillips to actually be promoted to captain and not have to sit, even though he got a red card. But they went ahead, they played without him, Sam, and they absolutely cooked.
The show must go on.
You looked a little wrong on that one, if I say so myself.
Yeah, I remember
And you know what? Their
saying,
team, we were running through their team before last week, and we're like, this lineup doesn't make sense. And then Moyes comes out with a 4-2-3-1 of Paqueta, Prowse, and Kudus forward, and then Alvarez and Sushek behind to help, and Bowen just as the lone striker. Like, that team makes like 1,000 times more sense than anything Moyes was putting out the last like 5 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, getting into it. Early chance for Suchek, 4 minutes in, putting it over, but you know what? Poor giveaway from Frank Onyeka in midfield allowed West Ham to get forward, um, push the ball through Bowen. He gets in and he scores at the near post. 1-0, 5 minutes in.
Yeah, I
And
mean, that was a really nice sequence by West Ham. Good play by Bowen on that to be crashing. On that little sequence there, a little ripsky. What are you gonna do, when you're Mr. Flecken? You can only make so many saves. Uh I mean, Sushek had one even before the the goal and stuff, but that link up play between
yes.
West Ham was very nice. Little Bowen kind of crashing in the box and sitting there right about 10, 12 yards out, ripped it. Easy
And
as you like.
they didn't waste any time getting a second goal. Some good pressing from West Ham in the midfield that allowed them to win the ball and push
Which is
forward quick with
which
Kudus.
is just sloppy giveaway by
Very
Brentford.
sloppy.
That pass was like going to no one.
Yeah. Kudus goes wide to Sufal, finds Bowen wide open in the middle of the box for the brace 7 minutes in. But
Yeah.
Brentford pulled one back 13 minutes in. Neil Maupay scores with a weird sliding finish after some very soft defending from West Ham.
Yeah, West Ham on this one, it was more like Brentford just kind of hoofed it, and for whatever reason, West Ham just like took a long time getting back. Like Sushek was like in quicksand. He like couldn't move. It was very weird. Um,
Yeah, not good defending.
but that slide by Maupay, honestly, a great sequence by Keane Lewis Potter to run forward on that from that
Yes.
wing back spot, knowing that he's got to fill in there. That was nice. But Maupay, what can you say? What can you say, man?
Too goated. Then a big moment, 15 minutes in, Kudus getting away with a push in the back of Regulon in his own box. No
I'm gonna say
penalty
it.
or
I'm gonna
VAR
say it.
review.
I'm gonna say it. That's a penalty.
That's a
And
penalty.
it falls under my rules of that's so stupid, why are you doing that? And that's why it's a penalty. Regulon, sure, he could go down easy and stuff, but at the same time, why are you like trucking the guy from behind and shoving him over? He's running to a ball that's outside the box and he's in the box. His
Not
back's to goal.
good whatsoever. After that, West Ham kind of dropped off a bit, allowed Brentford to have some more possession. Both sides had chances before halftime, but both were offside. Goes in halftime 2-1. Second half, Bowen completes a hat trick 63 minutes in. He finds space between the center backs. Somehow scores with a header.
Yeah, honestly, I just thought West Ham dominated that whole end of the first half, and then early second half, Brighton had a chance or two, but like you said, West Ham come right down. That marking, Christopher Ayer, what are you doing, son? Just
Yeah.
letting Bowen slip in behind. Didn't realize that he wasn't in line with his team, and Bowen has a free header. Nice little easy cross by Kudus, is barely even a cross, honestly. It's just like a little pop up, um, which was very nice. And then what Brentford had, I think Onyeka had a chance. But the main thing that I thought was hilarious was like the Norgard taking a dive, and West Ham was like losing their shit about it, which I thought was really kind of odd.
Yeah. It was
It seemed
pretty funny.
very excessive for them to like freak out as much as they did. If it's like one guy yelling at him to like get up, that's okay. But West Ham's whole team was like trying to fight him. Ivan Toney like had to keep him off. Christian
Yeah.
Norgard. It's very weird.
After that, Emerson scoring an absolute rocket
Belter.
from outside the box.
He even got the Martin Tyler. Oh.
Yeah, his pulse raised by 1 beat per minute there.
Yeah.
And
As his
Brentford grab
Perfect.
a late consolation after catching the West Ham midfield and defense
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
sleeping. Hank called for a late Wisa goal, if I recall correctly. But
I did. I did. It
it-
was. It didn't matter to
it didn't
Futile, but
matter.
it was.
But he
He
called it.
scored.
He
He did
called it.
it for me. Oh,
Did it for him.
amazing. And not to mention, I called that the game was going to be 2-1 Brentford, and it was Brentford's second goal. I mean, what more can you do?
Mm.
The guy's a legend. I'm the
Yes.
Wisa reader.
Absolutely. All right,
Ah.
let's get into some predictions. Speaking of Chelsea FC,
Oh no,
are they going to get Wiesed?
probably not. He doesn't score that frequently. I would guarantee you this is like a Ivan Toney scores, and he's like trying out for Chelsea pretty much. I'll say 1-1 draw, but even that doesn't feel good. But Brentford are so stinky that it's hard to pick them. But
Mhm.
Chelsea are so stinky, it's like how can you pick them either? So 1-1 draw for me.
Yeah.
Unless you want to say this is more of a must win for Brentford.
Perhaps. I'm gonna say 2-1 Brentford.
Okay, that's how I would have leaned if I didn't pick the draw. See, this is good. We cover our bases. One has a draw, one has the win. It's an even spread. Everton, West Ham, the David Moyes derby.
The David Moyes derby.
Davide Moyes.
Well, West Ham when they don't play Calvin Phillips, not bad.
What if he just gets put back in the team when he's available? How funny would that be?
It
We
wouldn't
just gotta see what
surprise
we
me.
got in him. It would surprise me. Unless Sushek was hurt or something. West Ham, they got this game going. This feels like it'll be a little more defensive minded, if you will.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a 1-1 draw in this game as well.
I'm gonna say 1-0 West Ham.
I like it. I like it. I do agree. I find this hard to envision Everton winning, but what do I know? Fulham Brighton. You know, Brighton's never won this matchup. 3 wins, Fulham, 4 draws in 7 games.
Interesting. I'm
No
feeling
Billy Gilmore.
I'm feeling a 2-2 draw.
How do you think this game's going to play out? I think it's just going to be kind of more random attacks and the defense is going to be kind of lacking.
Yeah, I feel like, it'll probably start with Brighton, and then Fulham has kind of their spell for a bit. And,
I just
some
really
scrappy goals.
want to pick Fulham, but I know that they're going to let us down.
Absolutely.
I'm still going to go Fulham 2-1.
Okay. I'm saying 2-2.
Newcastle
Wolves.
Speaking of more defensive minded, I think Wolves could definitely catch Newcastle kind of out, but when Newcastle has a bad game, typically they might not have a great game to follow it up, but they typically don't have like a back-to-back bad game. So I'll go Newcastle 1-0 in this one.
Oh, man. This is a tough one to call. I think I'm
I
going to
almost
say
had
a
a draw,
1-1.
but yeah, that makes sense. Again, we're covering our bases out here. Forest Liverpool. What games in the 9 o'clock window?
It is a lot of games. I'm going to have 6 monitors all up at
Good.
the same time.
What are you looking for in this one?
I think Liverpool, they're in high spirits. I think they'll continue on. Fairly comfortable victory. I'll say 3-1.
I think this could be a slip-up game.
It could be. Can't be
I
ruled
think it
out.
could be a slip-up game. I'm gonna say it's 2-1, a little closer than you think.
Okay. 2-1 Liverpool.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
2-1
Tottenham.
closer than you think. Can I pick Forest? Forest is going to just manhandle Liverpool, but not quite as much as you think. Tottenham Palace in this one. Oli Glassner, little second game action here. Didn't see Tottenham last weekend. Obviously, they're supposed to play Chelsea. That game was postponed for Chelsea's Cup final. Yeah, Tottenham should be pretty fresh, Sam, at Palace, as well as they played last week for a short stretch. You know, their defense is going to have the work cut out for them against Tottenham.
Yeah.
Find it hard to imagine Tottenham won't be clicking, so I'm going to go 3-1 Tottenham.
3-1. I'm going to say 3-0 Tottenham.
Wow.
I think Palace is not.
All right, well, say that to Jordan Ayew's face. Luton Villa,
I'd
the
love
game
to.
we've all been waiting for.
Luton Villa. Luton Villa. Luton Villa.
Is this
They
one
like-
where Luton masterclass Rob Edwards just kind of waits for Villa to pass the ball around and turns them over and then counterattacks?
Perhaps. Yeah, maybe if Villa get a little lax on the defense. I feel like this is one where Luton play, they're in the game, but their defense just kind of lets them down and they lose like a 3-2 or something.
That's what I was leaning. It's either a 3-2 game or it might even be like 0-0 just because Villa hold the ball and do nothing with it, but Luton have an off day and can't really do much.
Yeah.
I'll go 3-2 Villa. I'll steal it. I'll steal it from you.
Burnley. Bournemouth. 7 a.m.
Bees. The B and the Bees. There's never been a draw between these teams, Sam.
Put it on national TV.
Well, what else are you going to put on national TV at 7 o'clock in the morning?
This
Yeah,
has got to be one where they
Burnley-
bounce back, right? Bournemouth.
You would think. This was the El Sacchico to start the year for Areola, but he ended up winning, so it didn't matter. And then Bournemouth went on a run. And Burnley are just going to hang on to Vincent Kompany forever. I could
Yeah.
see Burnley doing something here, like a draw, whereas if Bournemouth just can't get it going, they put a lot of effort into that City game, so I could see that happening, but I'll say that Bournemouth squeak out a 2-1 victory.
Oh, I was going to go 2-1.
Fine, I'll go 2-0. You go 2-1.
All right.
Manchester Derby, Sam. It means so much these days.
It is absolutely huge when you have clubs like United doing their title charge.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. I think Johnny Evans plays this game.
Hope so.
Is Mason Mount ever going to play again? What did he do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I thought I heard that he was close or something. Close to a
Okay.
return.
Well, I guess we'll just have to see it to believe it.
Even if he did play, would you see him?
I mean, maybe. He just stole the number 7 jersey and said, I'm just going to chill over here.
Man,
As far as
can't even
City
sprint.
go, this feels like one of those games where it ends 2-0, maybe even 3-1,
I'm gonna say 3-0.
and it's Alvarez popping off kind of game.
I'm gonna say 3-0. Brace for Erling Haaland.
Oh, how about that? This is either a game where Alvarez or Doku pops off for like no reason. It's one of those two.
I don't think it'll be Doku. Hey, question for you
Doku.
after the Man City game.
Doku. What's that?
Who's buying Jack Grealish in the summer?
I think Chelsea. Chelsea get him? No.
Back to Villa?
Probably not. Probably. Dare I say Tottenham? No, I think United. United from City to United. You don't see it much, so I think it'll
No, you
happen.
don't.
You see the Tevez from United to City, but I like that. I think he goes to United. Who would you say?
I'd say Villa.
Do you think there's any outside chance he would be one of those like English guys and he just ends up at like Inter or something, or just some like
Hmm.
historically classic European team?
Hmm.
I'm the terrible predictor of that because I never would have guessed Harry Kane would do
Not sure.
that. Harry Kane might have just done it for this whole generation of English players because it only happens like once a generation.
That's true.
Last generation was Ravel Morrison
DC
on
United's
Lazio.
finest.
No, this game I'll go 2-0, but like you said, it could be anything. United being Sheffield.
The
That's why I
real
say when I
United.
mean United, yeah, versus Arsenal. Is this the Arsenal slip-up game?
Can't be ruled out. Can never
You
be.
know, normally you're the one who says that Arsenal's gonna crap their pants. So
I don't think it'll be the best game. You know, I think it'll be a
no,
grind out game for sure. Maybe a 1-0
no,
or
yeah,
2-0.
for sure, Mister 15 goals in 3 games.
I don't think it'll be a
Uh,
high scoring affair.
the only thing you have going against you is that Sheffield fought last game, which
Riled up.
probably means, that they're gonna have a rallying moment and unite as a team and really get together.
Absolutely.
That's typically what happens when that occurs. No, I'm gonna go Arsenal. We'll say 3-0. I want to kind of go 2-0 and just say that Super Mick Arteta will rest some of his guys in the second half and they'll just hold the ball, but they won't do that. So 3-0.
3-0.
You have any
Okay.
predictions,
Uh,
player wise?
Sean Longstaff is going to score against Wolves.
I don't like that one very much. I'll be honest. I was kind of hoping for more of a who is gonna score for um West Ham, or perhaps who is gonna score for Tottenham.
Who's going to score for West Ham against Everton? I mean, that is definitely setting up for like a Kurt Zuma from a corner.
Oh, really? I think it's gonna be Kudus. We haven't had a little Kudus action in a bit. So, should I give a prediction since I'm on a roll, getting one?
Yes, please do.
Getting one. Um,
You'll be the new
let's.
prediction guy.
I just start. I pick like the most. I'm like Dom Solanke against Burnley. uh, let's see. Fulham. Who do Fulham have that I can pick that'll score? Tom Kearney. Come on down.
Okay.
Yep, there it is. Watch him not even play. I'll cry.
Probably not.
I'm blaming him.
Oh, well,
Another episode in the books.
that about
That was
does it.
fantastic. Good stuff.
26 wonderful weeks in.
Yes,
up
only
the
about
end.
12 more to go.
Right. All right. Well, I'll see you again next week.
Adios. Mis amigos.
Bye.